Hi there. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are joining us from. My name is Abhijit Bhaduri, and I'm your host today. I work as a leadership and talent management consultant. I'm an author. I'm the author of the book Dreamers and Unicorns, and I'm actually trying out something really experimental today. As you know, that I'm a sucker for anything experimental. I'm always trying to do something different. I'm actually experimenting with this format, which is short notice, short format. It takes 15 to 20 minutes of your time, and then we are done. So I'm going to try this out, and I'm really going to wait for you to tell me whether you like this particular format or not. And without any further ado, I, of course, want to tell you that I'm going to bring in a mystery guest. But before that, I want to just play the signature tune, which I love, and I've been missing playing that for you. So here goes. Oh gosh. Okay, so very clearly, my mystery guest is not interested in solving the mystery of who this person is. My mystery guest is going to talk to us about the mysteries of social audio. Um, uh, my mystery guest, what do I refer to you as mystery? What should I call you? I see your name you've put there as mystery. Um, it certainly
Hi.
is not a last name, is it?
Well,
Wow.
it could be. It totally could be. So you could refer to me as Mystery.
But okay. I have absolutely no idea what you're saying because I can't make out anything. I
Can
can't
you hear me
hear
now?
you. Oh man, mystery guest, your voice is all blurred and all, So if you're doing that on purpose, you're worrying me because I'm trying to figure out whether you've really joined or you haven't joined. Can you say hello to all of
Yes.
us?
A very good evening to everybody. And
I think
can you
your
hear me now?
voice is getting all blurred and um, yeah, okay, all right. So I just want to start by saying that mystery guest, can you just you introduce yourself? Tell us what you do and what is it that you're going to talk to us about? Because I have heard a whole lot of things about social audio. I want to figure out how does what makes social audio the flavor of the season, and what is why has it suddenly taken off? What drives that kind of interest in social audio? Okay, talk to me about that.
So, um, so we know audio, right? Generally, conversations and the auditory senses is something that is age old. That's the way human beings connect with one another. So there's nothing new there, right? If you go back and look at the example where mothers, right, start talking to their children when they're in the womb, right, when the babies are in the womb. Can you hear me? I feel like, am I clear now? Am I audible, Abhijit?
Um, I'm having a little bit of a difficulty of.
Let's see.
Um,
Can let me check. Can our
yes, now I
listeners
can.
hear
Yeah, it's on. Perfect.
me? Okay, perfect. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, we've got our audio sorted. So, like I was saying, right, audio's been around for the longest time, right? It's how human beings communicate with one another. What's interesting is that we've seen a trend more recently where technology is finally caught up, right? So for the longest time, text was king, right? The But if you notice, like a lot of people in India will also notice this in particular, it's specific to the Indian subcontinent and China, is where voice messages, I know, have noticed in the past 6 odd months, people have started, instead of just sending in long wordy text, they've started sending in voice messages, right? The whole advent of voice assistants, right? So you have Siri, you have Alexa. So there's just podcasting has become huge, even advertising, right, around um, you know um, which is related to the medium of sound, has grown exponentially. As you can see, my voice just actually triggered my Alexa at home, if you could hear that in the background. But so that just goes to show, right? Voice is here, audio is here, and it's to stay. I think the significant shift that we're seeing now is the move towards social, right? It's not no longer just audio, but it is social audio, right? It's not only about one-on-one conversations, but it is about where you get to really find your own tribe, speak to your community. So which is why you're seeing things, the advent of apps like Clubhouse or Cappuccino, right, where or Mensa, and they're just, there's we're looking at Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. They're all kind of catching on. They're like, this is where the future is. So that's kind of the short of it as to what are the trends we're seeing in the audio space right now, and why is it such a big thing, and why is it going to be the future?
And you kind of look at what these people are saying, that great people are to be heard, not to be seen. But I have another observation. You are right that a lot of people, are sending voice messages and on WhatsApp. I've always enjoyed doing that because when you have a whole lot of people to respond to during the festival season, especially, it's just so much nicer if you, drop a voice note. And if you wish somebody happy birthday, instead of just typing happy birthday with the usual cake emoji, you leave a voice note. That's so much nicer, isn't it?
So much more personal, right? There is, so
Yeah.
the whole idea of tenor and tone gets completely lost. Whereas with voice, so you can be succinct with voice, you don't have to be wordy, and you can still communicate. And I think that's beautiful about voice. Also, how intimate it is, right? You suddenly feel like you're much closer to the person. Like, even if you're sitting in different parts of the world, the minute you communicate with voice, it kind of breaks a lot of those barriers.
I totally relate to that because I grew up with radio, and I did a lot of work with radio. And I just think that there is no substitute for the kind of relationship that you can build, whether it is legends like Amin Sayani Saab and many of the other news readers. When they would read the news, I kind of got a feeling they were talking to me. That is impossible, which is intriguing because when you are seeing the person and you are hearing the person, isn't that better if you could see the face of the person, or does it remove the mystery? And is that what it is?
So, not to say that having the visual to go with it isn't, of course there are benefits to it, but I think it's also, some of it is trade-off. So especially in society today where there's so much that is vying for your attention, this audio can also be super calming, right? It allows you to do other things simultaneously, which is why we saw why so many people started taking to podcasts, right? When you're on your way to work, why are people listening to the radio, right? Because it allows you to do, and I'm not suggesting everybody can multitask, but you don't have to have all your senses engaged. But when you have a visual in front of you, there's a lot more, right? So this kind of also has a calming effect, right? In that sense, it kind of gives you that break, which is why you have Zoom fatigue, which came out of the pandemic, right? Like, everybody was suffering from Zoom fatigue, and I think that's what audio does. Not to say that they're comparable in that sense, right? They both have their pros and cons.
But you have a point there. When I think about what Adam Grant has to say, he actually says that when people have Zoom fatigue and you switch off the camera and you actually listen only to the voice, so according to Adam Grant, people become more attentive to the nuances. You can guess that even though I'm saying, yes, I'm feeling fine, I actually am not. I'm feeling a little sad or something. You can pick up those nuances of emotions in the language, in the tone and manner, which is impossible to replicate. The question I would say is, in text, when we add emojis, would you say that that's a way to bring in the emotion which is missing in text?
I think that's what emojis were. I mean, that's primarily the point of it, right? You want to convey, like, how else do I say that my heart is filled? Like, I want to send you a hug, or my heart is filled with warmth, right? Because your voice will sound that way, right? Or that this was really funny, right? Because you could laugh and everybody knows that that was really funny, but text is not going to help with that, right? And which is why emojis are so effective. But nothing, I think, if the comparison was between actually listening to somebody laugh and an emoji, or the I mean I mean, you can hear it, right? Which one is more effective. So yeah.
Yeah, and I also think that when you're looking at conveying something in, one of my big complaints about many of these formats is if it's necessarily 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours kind of a thing. When you look at webinars, a lot of company programs, I think people constantly tell you that I wish it was shorter. I think, which is what is the format I'm trying to experiment with. I'm trying to see if in 15 minutes we can have a sensible conversation, pick up a couple of things that leave a little bit of a flavor, aftertaste. And I think audio has the ability to leave an aftertaste in your ears. Am I
Yeah.
mixing up my metaphors?
No, absolutely. Like it's almost like a conversation, right? Is the seed of that next conversation or of your thought process. Like when people talk, they leave you, and that's the point of audio. It leaves something behind, right? For you to mull over, right? For you to go back and say, oh, that's what was said. And the other thing with music and the auditory, is the fact that memory, it's memorable. It stays with you, right? It's much harder for a text to stay with you, but the sound of it, right, when somebody narrated a story to you, stays, and it's great for memory. So yeah, absolutely, it definitely implants a seed for the next conversation.
This for sure, is going to be very interesting. This is the first time where it is not because of a technical fault, but the guest has chosen to keep the camera off and turned it into a sort of a audio format. I mean, what better way to experience it? Yeah, I get that, but I also think that I enjoy doing some of the things that uh, you know. So there, Shalu Sodi is saying that nothing compares to the sound of laughter, just like yours just now. Thank you, Shalu. Yes, I was sort of really thinking about the fact that this is the magic of sound. We can sort of really recreate it, and I also think that. I've been playing around with this app called Mensa, which I'm going to sort of leave that in the comments below, and you can also get it on the screen. I'm going to put that out there. What you can do is I'm sort of playing around with it, trying to really learn about different aspects. Um, at 7 o'clock, I'm going to be doing a talk for about 15-20 minutes around gig workers. Yeah, we are going to sort of talk about that. We've got a bunch of really interesting guests. And then at 7:30, I'm talking about a completely different topic, which is under the series called Futurism, where we are really saying what is the future of influencer marketing. And I'm joined by Madhavan Narayan, who on Twitter has these millions of followers who know him as Medversity. So Madhavan and I, we are going to be talking about the future of influencer marketing. And this is that weekly show that we do on this particular. We've talked about all kinds of things: the future of storytelling, the future of work, the future of nanotechnology, all kinds of things that we've talked about. And this is there's a question that we have from Ashwin, who says that I wonder if the form factor of video is two dimensional. What do you think? Is the form factor two dimensional?
Hmm. I'm not sure I completely fathom the question, but so one of the
Would
things
you
with
say it
audio.
appeals to two senses?
I think what it does is it appeals to one sense so heavily, right? So you rely so much on, with video, you rely so much on the visual, that a lot of the nuances of the what is being communicated gets lost. So in that sense, yes, I would say it is a little flat, right? Because you're indexing too much on the visual. And so whereas with audio, it also gets you to use your imagination. For example, right now, right, a lot of people could be wondering, right, who is this person we're speaking to, right? And I think you're kind of thinking harder. You're putting in more energy in an effort, not in the effortful way, but in the sense of in the
it's
imaginative,
curiosity.
creative, connecting the dots.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I also think
I don't know if that
you know,
answered Ashwin's question.
it perhaps, you know, one of the parallels I would talk about is when I first met some of these legends like Melville DeMello, Shirojit Sengupta, and All India Radio. I was like completely amazed because somehow their actual image, you know, the image in my head and what they look like in real life were two completely different things. I had pictured them to be completely different, and that's what happens. That you have um, the voice triggers an image, and that's always the element of mystery. You know, and so many times I've seen that, and I also think that we've got some. Srishti says that I've been listening to radio since childhood and still enjoys doing that. Yeah, I think that's the magic of radio, that you know you can never get tired of it. But we have come to the promised end of the time. We are a little past. I'm going to leave you with one last question. What is the difference, you know, when somebody says it's a great social audio content? What makes something great social audio content? What is your view on that?
I would say when it's great social audio content is where you've been able to nurture some relationship in whatever time that might be, right? You've been able to connect with the other person. So I think that's the social aspect.
So a sense of
it,
community.
right? Yes, a sense of community. And
Okay.
you have specific takeaways, right? So where it's, there was value add to, you walked away from it and you said, either I learned something new, or this has triggered a thought, right? Or so I would say those are the two great two pieces I would use to qualify something as great social audio.
And I also think that you know, the other piece that makes me think that social audio has the ability to create friends. You know,
Yeah.
you become friends with a voice.
Yeah.
And there are people I have met on Mensa who have become my friends. I'm now connected with them on LinkedIn. I'm connected with them on Instagram, and we connect on Twitter, and we DM each other like long lost friends. And these are friends I've made on the audio platform. And that's the magic of it. I mean, I just think that it creates a sense of trust and authenticity. So that's something that I certainly believe. But
Absolutely. I was going to go for trust as well, completely.
yeah, for the friends, you know, which is the basis of community and friendship. So we are at the end of our time, and I just want to say thank you so much for joining in. I'm really keen to know from the listeners and viewers if you like this format. You know, where my guest keeps the camera off. Are you going to solve the mystery? So she says she's texting me and saying no, she is not going to solve the mystery. Okay, so be it. But I want to know whether the listeners will be keen to have the mystery solved. And either case, I will see you on Mensa in the first one, 7 o'clock. I'm talking about gig workers. Join in. And 7:30, we are talking under the series called Futurism, where we are talking about the future of influencer marketing. Till the next time, thank you so much. Goodbye. And